I'm Lee Hogan and welcome to MXTV. Belly's still away, so let's get straight into it. On today's show, we test the Kawasaki KLR 650, Suzuki give us a tech tip, we check out classic dirt and the Stockman's Rally, and Belly reviews the Suzuki DRZ 400. We've got all this and more coming up on MXTV. Well, earlier in the year, Conondale held Classic Dirt 12, and as usual, Macca was there to capture the action.
Well, Classic Dirt is now up to number 12. It's been running since 2000 was the first event. And the whole concept has always been old guys bringing their old bikes out of the shed and just having a ride. There's no racing, no politics, no stress. It's a social ride day. That's really all it is. And 3 days of vintage dirt bike heaven. When the first event started, it was in a paddock and there was 2 round ovals, and that was it. And since then, it's grown to have a pre-90 motocross track, a separate pre-78 motocross track, enduro loops with easy and hard options. There's a grass flat track, there's a trials area. It just caters for everybody. It doesn't matter what type of vintage dirt bike you've got. It's become the biggest dirt bike event in Australia, whether vintage, modern or any. This event will have 500 riders, and that just shows you how many old guys and old bikes there's still out there. There's something happening all day, every day. People start arriving Friday morning, set up their camps with their friends and come from all over Australia. There's a big sort of village atmosphere in the middle here where all the trade stands are, and of course the Yamaha 60th display. And the best thing you can do is explore it all. Everywhere you go, there's bikes that you just haven't seen for a very long time, even if you're a vintage fan yourself. There's everything everywhere. You'll see things like when we had our stars first came out, Heikki Mikkola and Brock Glover, there was a guy there standing there in full Viking outfit with his horns and his sword, and that's the sort of people to get here. There's all sorts.
Okay, now obviously we're sponsored by Yamaha this year and they're celebrating their 60th anniversary, and they have been able to get Heikki Mikkola and Brock Glover out here, and it's just amazing. Tell us about that.
It's always been a bit of a surprise for us in the end who it was, and you can't really ask for more than someone who's a 4-time world champion in the case of Heikki, and Brock Glover, literally the winningest Yamaha rider in the US. The crowd yesterday, I spoke to people that said, literally, and I took Heikki's hand and I'm still
in awe.
Yeah, still nervous half an hour later. And that's just just how much people like seeing them. You couldn't have brought out 2 more interesting and championship guys.
Yeah. So Ken, how do we find out about the next event and how do we get involved? What do we do?
All the details are always in issues of VMX magazine, and also all the details are on the VMX magazine website, which is just vmxmag.com.au. They're also on our Facebook page. We only know usually a couple of months before if we are having any guest riders, but certainly all the other details will be in the magazine or online.
And not only do we have international riders come to the event, you also have your Australian legends like Anthony Gunter, Stephen Gall, Craig Dack, Mike Lamb, it goes on, James Deacon, Jeff Bellard, it goes on. All the legends come here and it's quite amazing.
Indeed. I mean, they enjoy meeting up with everybody just like all the regular riders do.
Well, today we're testing the Kawasaki 2016 KLR 650. Now let me tell you about some of the features on it. First of all, up the front end, the forks have been revised with stiffer springs. And it's come out with a brand new paint scheme. Have a look at it, it's camouflage. How cool is this? When you go into the bush, no one will know you're even there. Look, bang, it's gone. Where is it? Haha. And of course it comes in Kawasaki green and black. It has a 22-litre tank. Now that's going to cover you for, I would say, a good 300 to 400 kilometres without refilling it, so that's sensational. And Kawasaki also make factory panniers, which has got plenty of room to store all your gear for when you're going on an adventure ride. And of course these things are learner approved, which makes them sensational if you're just getting into adventure riding. They're very well price points, so it's a great way to start, 1, adventure riding, and 2, if you're just starting out on your learners, it's a good bike for learning on as well. Okay, let's take the KLR 650 for a test ride and see how it goes. Can't wait to get out and have a ride on this thing. Well, I've just come back from a test ride on the KLR 650 and it really is a whole heap of fun. It's a great entry-level adventure bike. It does everything that you want it to do. Out on the road, not a problem whatsoever. It's real sturdy, it stays nice and sturdy in between the wind and the trucks and the cars. Out in the bush, it's fantastic. The suspension, well, you would call it plain suspension, but it works very, very well. For the things that you want to do on an adventure bike, no worries whatsoever. These fire trails, it eats it up. You can even take this into single trail because it's quite narrow for an adventure bike, and that makes it easy for if you want to commute to work and back as well. The brakes on this thing, not too bad. I would probably beef them up a little bit for the riding I like to do. The engine on this bike is fantastic for getting started in adventure bike riding. It's very easy to ride. Up all the hills, it'll just get up the hills, not a problem whatsoever. And also the top end of the engine, once you get into the higher gears, it just purrs along at 100 k's an hour on the freeway, no worries whatsoever. The seating position on this bike I love because it's actually quite a small bike. For us little guys, fantastic. I can get my feet on the ground when I stop at the lights, no worries. I can get my feet on the ground when I stop out on the bush, not a problem whatsoever. Obviously with adventure bike, they're a little bit heavier, so you do want to have that stability to be able to get your feet planted on the ground pretty quickly. The one thing that the KLR screams is it's just simplistic. It's very easy. You get on, you start it, you ride it. A lot of adventure bikes out there cost a lot of money, have a lot of gadgets and gizmos on it and this and that. I think, personally, you don't need a lot of it. I think it still gives you that raw feeling of your trail bike riding out in the bush. This thing ticks all the boxes. Now, some of the things I would add to this bike, I'd love a fuel gauge. Not that you can get that. However, there are things that you can buy and invest in, and that's grip warmers. That sounds a bit pansy, but grip warmers do really help when you're out riding on the freeway. So there you go, the KLR 650. This thing is super cool. I love the camo look in it. So get yourself down to a Kawasaki dealer and check out the KLR 650 because it's very well price pointed.
For all your insurance needs, visit swaninsurance.com.au.
Okay, so I've just arrived at the Stockman's Rally. It's the Saturday, the night before. So we come up here, camp the night, and then go for a ride tomorrow. We've had a lot of rain in Melbourne, so the ground's quite wet, and they're predicting rain tomorrow as well. So looks like it's going to be a fun one. And with the rain predicted tomorrow, I think we're going to have no dust problems whatsoever. It's going to be a slippery, slimy sort of track, but it will be a lot of fun. They do a great job organising the event. Everything's arrowed, everything's easy to follow. And the first loop, that's 70 k's, is very easy to get around. The second loop is obviously a little bit tougher, but if you're willing to do that in the second part of the day, certainly go out and have a go at it because it's good fun as well. Okay, so I'm going to go and have a meal and then sit around the campfire with the guys, have a chat, wake up early tomorrow and go for a ride. Can't wait, it's going to be epic.
We've been running this event, Stockman's Rally, as an enduro originally actually since the 1960s. It's only been in the last 10 to 15 years we've decided to continue this as a rally only, a non-competitive event. We've supported many organisations over the year, but a lot of the money that comes from this particular event goes towards Ronald McDonald House. We've now got a room named after the club, which is fantastic. This year we're also supporting SMA.
Spinal muscular atrophy is the childhood version of motor neuro in a nutshell. Started the charity 11 years ago and I now run the charity, look after families Australia-wide. Recently we were lucky enough to get Toby Price as an ambassador for the charity and to be able to bring the bike up here to be able to show people who we are and to help raise funds for the association is a pretty cool deal.
So the sort of people that this event attracts, the sort of people that perhaps aren't as confident in the bush. So we have a full arrowed course. We've got in excess of 60 sweep riders that go around the course throughout the day and help people up hills or if they're broken down and so forth. It's more designed for the, I guess, more novice rider or people that want to get into the outdoors and trail riding out in the bush. It's a very different sort of riding. Loop 1's designed to be the easiest part of the course. And then when you finish Loop 1, which is an 80-kilometre loop, you'll press on to Loop 2. Loop 2 is about 45 to 50 kilometres and a lot more challenging. It's a bit more single track, a lot more hills, gullies and so forth to get through, and yeah, it'll be a bit more challenging for those more adventurous.
It's all good fun. There's some people out there that might be calling in a bit of a sickie tomorrow, I think. It's great fun. Always fun in the mud. Slows it down a bit.
Well, that was the Stockman's Rally for 2016. Turned out to be a bit of a wet one. It started to just lightly rain through the last half of it. So made conditions a little bit slippery.
Welcome back to MXTV, thanks to Motul. Well, during Belly's recent trip to the USA, he was lucky enough to score a ride on Marvin Musquin's factory machine. Let's see what he thought of it.
Let me tell you about the engine first. Marvin's bike's engine has a lot more bottom end as opposed to Ryan's bike. He likes it like that because he's more aggressive in and out of the corners, he doesn't roll it on as much. His suspension, the same as Ryan's, very stiff, obviously works well for those guys that are going at that speed. The things that I found quite different on Marvin's bike is it's a lot shorter. It's shorter by about 10 mil, and I like that because I'm a little bit shorter person, so I found I could touch the ground easier and also get to the pegs a lot easier. The other very strange thing for Marvin is he runs his back brake very low and it's very hard to engage the back brake, so he obviously drags his back brake quite a lot. He runs his levers higher than Ryan does. He runs them at higher than neutral in his levers. Again, the bike tracks very well. Once you get speed on that bike, it does not move. It stays straight and it tracks very, very well. Marvin's brakes are exactly the same. They've got the same factory brakes as Ryan's and they work the same. They're progressive but also powerful. The other thing that was noticeable was Marvin's handlebars. He runs them a bit further back than Ryan, so a bit further down, which I like that setup on a handlebar. I'd like my handlebars to be a little bit further down rather than raised up. Other than that, Marvin's bike is again just a personalised bike. It's not something that is an absolute rocket ship. It has power there, but it's all usable power, and he's just got a little bit more bottom end power than say Ryan does, and that's about it for these bikes. They're very rideable. They're not unrideable bikes. They're quite easy to ride. You'd be very surprised at how easy these bikes are to ride.
Hi guys, I'm Jason from the Wilson's Cool Air Modal Factory Suzuki team. Today we're talking about Suzuki's RMZ 450 2016 model air fork. Things you all require just to service and check your air pressures on your air forks. Basically your workshop manual, which comes with your bike, and a fork or shock pump. These are basically special because they just do high pressures. You can't use a bicycle pump, some of them don't go high enough. You can go from anywhere from 170 to 210 psi. First off, grab your workshop manual that comes with your motorcycle, open up onto suspension setting and service information, and it will go through the following chambers air pressures. Basically at the top here you have your inner and outer air chambers. Down the bottom of the fork you have your balance chamber. Basically at the racetrack when you're changing this, it's in theory changing your springs. So you have a lot more adjustability in your range of tuning at the racetrack. When you're ready to start and install your pump, first off grab up the top here, straight up here onto your inner chamber. Check your air pressure on your inner chamber. Set it to 175. Go down to the bottom to the balance chamber, set it to 175, and then basically come back up to the top to the outer chamber. And once you've done all that, you'll remove the air in the outer chamber to 0. Once you've done that, you're right to go for the day. It's not something you need to check every single ride. You go at the racetrack throughout the day. Basically, all you need to do is a pre-race ride. Turn up to the racetrack, unload, fuel your bike up, do your pre-race check, check your air pressures, and you're good to go for the day.
Welcome back to MXTV. Well, in this week's bike review, we get to test the Suzuki DRZ 400. Let's see how it went.
Well, today we've got the Suzuki DRZ 400E. Now, we've tested this before and it hasn't changed in the last couple of years. Why would you change something that is as good as this? This thing is unbelievable. It's so practical. It's Suzuki's highest selling dirt bike, and there's a reason for that. It's a 400cc water-cooled engine that is absolutely bulletproof. It's a very easy maintenance. You don't have to worry about too much maintenance on this. This thing goes and goes and goes, change oil regularly, and away it goes. It's an electric start. You always want one of those when you're out in the bush. But the other thing about the DRZ 400 is how versatile this thing is. Go out, chase the cows in it if you need to, go down the shop and buy some milk and bread, or deliver some goods on it. Or you can go trail bike riding like we're gonna do today. I really love the DRZ 400. It's a little bit smaller, so it suits me a bit better being a smaller person. And it does absolutely everything. It'll get you up hills, it'll get you around the bush. You're not gonna race it. It's not made for racing. That's what the RMX 450 is about. This thing is about getting out, having a bit of fun, and getting on a dirt bike and enjoying the lovely bush out here. Well, I always say it, I love riding the DRZ 400E. It's so much fun because it's a little bit lower, as I said. And the other thing about this is it just gets you everywhere, and it does it so easily. The suspension's a little bit plusher. I don't mind that. It's pretty cool. I'm not going out in the bush to go and smash down lap records. All I want to do is go out and have a bit of fun, and this thing does it. Now, some of the things that Suzuki sent with this bike this time is they have some genuine products and things that you probably need in the bush as well, being a bash guard for it, and also they've got the radiator guards as well. So if you do drop it over, you're not going to break the radiators and you're going to get home. Now, the things that stand out on this bike is the engine is bulletproof. It can be a high revving bike, you can get it at high speeds, no worries, just turn that throttle, but it won't bite you if you do rap on the throttle too much. It's just a nice, easy power, very easy to ride. And everybody says it about the DRZ 400, that is, it's like sitting in your lounge chair at home. You just sink into the seat. The seat's nice and soft, the suspension's nice and soft, wrap on the throttle and away you go, and it gets you where you want to go. As you can see through the single trail, there's no worries at all. The other cool thing I like about this is the toolkit at the back. I just think it's pretty cool to be able to carry your toolkit at the back of the bike rather than on a bum bag. Just something that I like. Now, it's got disc brakes all around. Of course, they work well. It's got a great muffler system on it. Of course, nice and quiet, things that you need for the bush these days. You want to be a little bit quieter in the bush. And really, do you need a lot of power on these bikes? Not really. Okay, so let me wrap this up. If I was going to buy a dirt bike, and I would honestly think at looking at buying one of these for my own personal shed. Why? Because as I said before, I really enjoy riding it. If I'd use it as a versatile thing, I'd probably go down the street and buy a coffee, and then once in a while, if I was going out with the mates to ride to a pub and back and I wanted to do it nice and easy, this is the thing to do it. You don't need to really do anything else to it, do you? It's cool.
For all your insurance needs, visit swaninsurance.com.au.
Well, that's about all we've got time for. Thanks so much for joining us. If you missed out on anything, you want to watch it again, all you have to do is head over to the +7 app and you can check it all out one more time. Well, we've reached the halfway point of the series. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to tune in next week for more MXTV. We'll see you then.